Hello everyone and welcome to the program Business Point on Global Television. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Samuel Odi and many thanks for joining on today's edition of the program. Today we'll be analyzing or assessing the impact of public procurement and then also look at the angles of the challenges being faced by the Bureau of Public Procurement in Nigeria. That's the agency in charge of procuring most of the facilities or equipment that you see that is being used in public places, in public hospitals, and as well as every other angle in the nation. So today we'll be having a conversation on the effect of the equipment being procured by this said agency, and I wouldn't be doing that all alone today. I have a guest who will be joining me virtually and we will be explaining all of this. You know, in recent times we've had series of complaints from critics saying that most of the equipment that has been imported into the country are substandard and is not even enough or good enough to, you know, do what is being bought for. That means it doesn't serve the purpose to the public. So we are going to be having this conversation on today's edition of Business Points, where we'll extract all of these issues and then get a long-lasting solutions to it. And we hope that the bodies, the people in charge would be able to take fit and then do what's needful so that we wouldn't be having substandard equipment in the country. If we can procure them, then we should manufacture them locally because we have everything that is required to have those equipment manufactured in Nigeria. We'll be going on a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll be introducing my guest who is going to be helping us extract and then make meaning of most of these complaints that we've been having from Nigerians and also people in different parastatals complaining about equipment that they get from this said Bureau of Public Procurement agency in Nigeria. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Business Report. Hello and welcome to Business Report. Dangote refineries and other local refineries have raised their crude oil requirement from Nigerian oil producing companies to 597,000 for the next 5 months. This is according to a statement from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. According to the report, Nigeria's refinery have increased their domestic crude for the second half of 2024 to 597,700 barrels per day, up from 483,000 barrels per day in the first half. NUPRC also confirmed that the oil companies were only able to provide 177,777 barrels per day to the refineries in the first 6 months of the year, way below the requirements of the refineries. The increasing crude requirements of local refineries, coupled with the challenges oil producers faces in meeting demand, have created tension between the 650,000 barrel per day Dangote refinery and the regulators. The Nigerian state have collectively spent about 139.92 billion naira on servicing external debt in the first half of 2024. This is according to an analysis of Federal Account Allocation Committee data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The amount spent is an increase of 122% from the 63.06 billion naira spent in the same period last year. The data shows that states have moved from spending around 9 billion naira to over 20 billion naira monthly, which is more than double debt service cost, likely due to naira devaluation. In January 2024, Nigerian state spent 9.88 billion naira on external debt servicing, a decrease from 13.67 billion naira in January 2023. This reduction of 27.7% suggests that some states may have fewer debt service obligations for this month. Also, the exchange rate traded majorly between 830 to $1 and 1,000 naira to $1, which was the lowest range within the period analyzed in this report. It appears that the exchange rate factor was yet to be felt in the first month of 2024, as the amount deducted is the same as the average monthly amount deducted for most of 2023. February 2024 debt servicing payments soared to 24.53 billion naira, a 148.2% increase from 9.88 billion naira in February 2023. This sharp rise highlights the possibility of currency depreciation impacting repayment costs. Such a leap indicates heightened financial pressure on state budgets. March 2024 saw the highest expenditure on debt servicing at 40.41 billion naira, marking a 309.1% increase compared to March 2023, 9.88 billion naira. This escalation could be attributed to higher maturing debt obligation at the end of a quarter. From April to June 2024, the total external debt servicing cost stabilized at 21.70 billion naira each month, compared to 9.88 billion naira spent in this same month in 2023. This represents a consistent of 119.70% increase each month. In April 2024, there was a reduction from March peak. The decrease from March may reflect completed debt cycle, yet the continued high level highlights ongoing financial burdens. This substantial expenditure highlights the growing fiscal pressure on the state government as they grapple with mounting debt obligation. Crypto startups in the second quarter of the year raised $2.7 billion in funding from ventures capital firm. This is slightly higher than what was raised in the first quarter of the year, although the number of the deal completed declined in the second quarter. The above data was revealed in an August 9 report by PitchBook, which gave comprehensive detail of the crypto landscape and its venture capital ecosystem in the second quarter of 2024. According to the report, in the second quarter 2024, crypto fundraising increased slightly as startups secured $2.7 billion across 503 deals. This represents a 2.5% increase in the invested capital, but a 12.5% decline in the deal volume compared to the previous year. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Many thanks for staying with us on that business update report from different segments, oil sector and all. And then this is just to let us know it's on a sad note though, that the Port Harcourt refinery that we were expecting for it to kick rolling and then for us to experience and then have lots of fuel and probably hope that the price, gets slashed down, has been postponed for the sixth time since since December 2023 up to date. This has been the sixth time it has been, postponed. The official launch has been postponed, and no specific reasons has been given for that. So NNPC has some questions to answer, because we are seeing lots of queue here in the nation's capital of fuel, and now it was promised since December, way before December, but let's just dwell on December. Since December up to date, that is going to happen in a couple of months, and then it was made known to us in the month of June that specifically that by NNPC that in the first week of August 2024 that Port Harcourt refinery will get rolling, and now we are yet to see that, and now it got pushed forward. So this is a whole lot happening in the oil sector, and then we are hoping that all of this will be resolved very, very shortly. So before we get into the discussion for today, that is assessing the public sector, the procurement, the public procurement sector, we are hoping that the plights that we've been getting from different agencies, it's just something that we're hoping to see that is going to be trashed, and then we'll get to the root of the issue on today's edition of the program as much as time will permit us to, and then see how well we are going to get to the point of getting good equipment into the country, which has been a challenge. So we're hoping that my guest is on the other end of the line, and then we'll be having all of this conversation. Hello, Mr. Eze, are you there? Can you hear me? I think we will need to go on another quick break, and then when we come back, we introduce the guest fully. Yes, many thanks for staying with us, and then we've had everything resolved, and I want to at this time introduce my guest to you, who is a legal practitioner and the lead director for Center for Social Justice, Mr. Eze. Good morning, sir. Mr. Eze Onyekwere, good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of the program.
My pleasure being here.
So yes, so we've been having different series of record from different agencies about procurement and then the kind of produce that they get, which is basically most of the time substandard. So we want to know what are like the challenge that it's being posed or faced by public procurement agencies.
Well, I think the proper way to start this is to understand the concept of public procurement in its ideal state, which is like you want to buy goods, works, construction, or services at the public expense to use it to meet the goals of governance in a decent society. You are discussing issues around hospitals, drugs, schools, bridges, power stations, and definitely everything that has to do with government service delivery. And it's a procedure. It's not something that you just simply go pick up money and go across the counter to the market and buy. So there are different stages in the procurement cycle. When you start by ensuring that you have a procurement plan, ensuring that the monies you need are put there in the budget. At the point you finish this, planning the procurement properly at the second stage, and then advertising, calling for, drawing up your terms of reference, advertising, and then getting tenders and looking at them, evaluating them, examining them before you get to the final point. So it's not just one set of problem. You have to look at it across the whole life cycle of the procurement. So if we are talking about at the beginning, when you are planning, there are challenges associated with it. Even when you're advertising, there are challenges. Even when you're examining and evaluating them, there are challenges associated with them.
Okay, so you just made mentions of a few angles that we were actually going to look into and then have a conversation about. So let's look at what are those challenges now in terms of having this background knowledge before getting into the act of public procurement.
Well, there are challenges of corruption in terms of people who want to over-invoice or increase the value of the goods or services of the construction to be procured. Everybody knows that, for instance, a vehicle may be a 2.0 engine. This is the price range, 30, 35, 40 million. But then somebody can go and procure those cars at double the price, 50 or 60, which is different from the market value and a reasonable imputation of profit. I mean, if you are supplying a 30 million worth of goods or services, maybe you could have 1, 2, 3 million on top as your margin for your profit. But when you double the price, that's a very critical challenge. The second part of it is the issue of incompetence. People may not know exactly how to implement and execute the procurement laws and policies and the guidelines which have been made by the regulatory agency. That's a question of lacking knowledge, because everything is not just like a car. You walk into a showroom, you are sure it's brand new, you pick it up. If you are doing large-scale construction, for instance, you are building a, say, 10, 15-story building, you need the experts who have to do the drawings, the electricals, the structurals, everything. And thereafter, somebody will also need to supervise to make sure that those approvals and drawings are adhered to, so that the house does not collapse over a period of time. So there are also issues of competence, knowledge of what should be done, the rules and regulations, and how it should be followed to the letter. And this also applies at the execution part, where you have incompetent persons who are not professionals, particularly in the building industry. You have a lot of people claiming to be building engineers. They are neither architects, they are neither structural engineers, they are neither building engineers. They could just be masons. They have been with some experts when they were casting the floors and then doing the decks, and suddenly they think they can do it. So these are the kind of things that lead to building collapse in the future. And of course, some of these challenges, like imagine what happens in the medical industry, where people get substandard drugs into the system. You need 10 milligrams of a particular medicine, and then somebody is supplying 5 ml of it and then labeling it to be 10. So that when you get the doctor recommends the medicine, is not up to the adequate dose that should be able to treat the ailment. So there are quite a lot of challenges. People want to short circuit the rules. Okay, there are even instances where people do outright forgery, presenting certification that they're experts or that they've had things like a tax clearance or they paid pensions or things, so as to meet the preliminary obligations upon them to qualify in the first place to be examined as part of those who should be, subjected to thorough evaluation. So there's a lot of challenges in the system.
To cope out most of these challenges now, what role would the Bureau of Public Procurement Agent, that is BPP, here in Nigeria, what role would they need to play to be able to cope out this in terms of, fake certification and, having workshop available for those that would want to get into this practice in the near future?
Well, the Bureau has in the past organized a lot of capacity building, workshops, trainings, and this has cut across board to all the MDAs, and in fact, they've established a procurement institute in about 2 or 3 universities I know across the Federation, where people can go and get trained and get certificated so that it wouldn't be a product of knowledge in terms of say they don't have sufficient knowledge that can be used as excuse for doing the wrong things in procurement. That's the knowledge component of it. For those people who are deliberately doing what they're doing, trying to skip the rules, it is up to the regulatory oversight of the Bureau to fish out those wrongs, those criminal offenses, and subject those who are doing them to either administrative sanctions or upscale it to criminal sanctions where the Attorney General could become involved in their prosecution. And of course, when they discover these violations, they are not bound to issue a certificate of no objection. So they may have to cancel that particular procurement proceeding and request that it be restarted. And if they find that there is a great lack of capacity or incompetence or deliberate mischief from an MDA, their leadership, they've been warned over and over, their procurement function could be transferred to another agency. This is what happened to the Ministry of Health, I think shortly before the COVID-19, because they were persistently violating the public procurement rules. The procurement function of that ministry was transferred to the Ministry of Agriculture. So there's an instance where the BPP has wielded the big stick when people are deliberately skipping the rules.
These are one of many challenges, and then you actually mentioned a few other challenges. So what do you think now can be done to cope out this now? What's the long-term solutions to all of this?
Well, the first thing is sincerity of purpose on the part of both the BPP and the implementing agencies. Well, there is academic qualifications you enter through school, but the capacity in terms of one's character it's not something that is teachable at school. It's something you deliberately have to acquire because there's enough moral training and upbringing from the churches to the mosques, from the parents at home all over. But whenever a man or a woman decides to do the wrong things, there's not much you can do except if you catch him after the fact, you send him through the criminal justice system and let him be punished and possibly be removed from office so that he doesn't have the opportunity to keep repeating those things over and over. But in terms of somebody's character, it is not up to the BPP or the system to move, but all they can do is that if you break the rules, you get punished. Sanctions must follow violations of the law.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Eze Onyekwere, for joining us on today's edition of the program. Sadly, this is how much time will permit us to take on today's edition. This subject matter is something we are still going to x-ray, maybe in the coming future, and we'll do well to reach out to you again, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Eze Onyekwere.
My pleasure.
All right, that's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of Business Points. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.